folks, and welcome to another Saturday morning Samoflange. I'm Matt.
And I'm Miss Chananaler Bong.
And I'm Agent Mulder.
And now I'm confused.
You will see.
Okay.
A little foreshadowing, a little podcast foreshadowing.
A little podcast foreshadowing. I like it. All right, folks, we're going to do our top 5 90s TV shows.
Yeah! I love the 90s. Not as much as the 80s, but I love the 90s.
I know you do.
Hey, don't we have a question to answer?
We do have a question to answer.
Thank all you guys for shouting out these questions. And we're just going to give Matt a mean look right now for almost forgetting you.
I did almost forget it. But Bardane asked if we'd ever seen The Prisoner, 1967 TV show.
I've never heard of that.
Never heard of it. I've heard of it. I've
no.
heard of it, but no, we did not watch it, Bardane. Sorry. Prisoner was not up there.
Leave a description.
And to be honest, the comedies in the 60s is what I remember best.
Yeah, me too. That's what dominated.
Yeah, well, my list was, I had science fiction, its infancy, and the TV series.
And detective shows, but it wasn't that detective, Prisoner may be bad. Prisoner may be good. In fact, I have heard things from other people that The Prisoner was good, but no, we have not seen it. And Brian C. asked about the Star Trek movies. Brian, that's a great question, and we're going to address that in the future.
The future.
In the year 2000.
In the year 2000.
All right, so.
Hey, guys, but wait a second.
Uh-oh.
The 90s were full of surprises, weren't they?
Okay.
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
I got a surprise for you guys.
Okay, what?
Okay.
It's game time. All right.
Game time.
We're gonna play a little game between CJ and Matt.
Okay.
It's called Can You Name That 90s Theme Song?
Oh, I love this game.
All right.
All right.
Got 5 apiece. You can't steal answers. Just either you get it or you don't. Kind
Okay.
of like penalty shots in
move
soccer.
on. Okay.
Got it.
I got one tiebreaker if there's a tie at the end. All right, CJ goes first.
Okay.
I'm going to play it.
You mean Agent Mulder?
Agent Mulder goes first.
Well, that's a no-brainer. It's the Power Rangers!
All right.
you
I'm
got
going
it.
to play for a second here. Yeah. All right, I made the first ones easy for y'all just to kind of wet the palate. That was obviously Power Rangers.
What was your... And in the comments, leave your favorite Power Ranger below. What was your favorite?
There you go.
Were you...
We'll talk about these 90s shows in a minute.
Tyrannosaurus!
All right, Matt.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm making them easy at the beginning, so it should be 1-1.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Bel-Air.
Say that again without
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Very good. Sorry, guys, for y'all not even be able to listen to these. These guys are just so good.
We're into it, man.
I know it.
It's a little wild and a little strange when you make a whole
CJ!
Hold on.
Agent Mulder!
Hold on.
start your horse and come along, but you can't get it right if you can't hold on.
Give me a minute. Give me a minute.
Singing, yippee-ki-yay, like the cowboys
Is
sing.
CJ stumped?
Keep it on.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Obviously, Matt is not.
Break of day.
That is now Matt singing.
Watch out for those slaying jackrabbits. And that
Listen, CJ.
Okay.
Hey, dude.
That's the name of this.
Oh,
Hey,
he said it
dude.
at the very beginning.
Yes, that's why I said it was unfair.
I know. Well, I tried to tailor this to the one. I gave him the ones that I knew that you would know.
Hey, dude, baby.
Hey, I'm not
Oh, wow.
That's
So-
a 90s show I'm not familiar with. I was
Wow.
aware of it,
All
but didn't
right.
watch Hey Dude.
I really thought that you would get that one really, really
Yeah,
quickly.
didn't watch Hey Dude.
Well, you do because they say it in the title at the very beginning.
All right, here we go. All
right,
right,
go.
So now CJ is 1 for 2.
Okay.
Now we're going for Matt's
right.
number 2. All right.
Salute your shorts.
Yes. Yes.
That only ran for like a year, didn't it?
but
I
it was
know.
in the 90s.
I know. And the only reason I know that one is because the missus watched it.
Heck yeah.
I never
All
watched
right.
it.
We
So
now.
your shorts.
CJ has 1. Matt has 2. All
right.
Here we go.
Home Improvement.
Yeah. All right. Very good.
I'll be honest, I probably wouldn't have got that one.
Ooh.
That'd have been a
Good.
hard one for me.
All right. This one you'll get in 2 seconds.
Married with Children.
Very good. I just got to hear the first part.
Okay.
Love and marriage, love and marriage. Okay. All right. CJ, you're behind one.
Yup.
All right. Now this one, whew. If you get this one.
Don't know about the future, that's anybody's guess. Ain't no good reason for getting all depressed. Buy up your pad and pencil, I'll give you a piece of my mind.
This is so familiar.
Opinionation, the sun is gonna surely shine.
What is this?
You know it. You know it. You know it.
Stop all your fussing, slap on a smile.
Stop all your fussing.
Come out and walk in the sun for a while. Don't fight the feeling, you know you wanna have.
Damn it, I know it. Yeah,
Time's up.
Time's up. What is it?
Well, even though you don't get a point for it, do you want to try to steal?
Is it Blossom?
It is Blossom.
Oh, baby!
Yes! Yes!
Yeah!
I knew that one was going to be a tough one. I love that theme song.
Whoa.
You should have let me steal.
Whoa!
You should have let me steal.
All right, Matt. I don't know if
do
you'll get
this.
this one or not. We'll see. Here we
Probably
go.
not.
Here we go.
Is it Roxanne?
It is not Roxanne. It is
Oh, no, Roseanne. Roseanne. Dang,
Oh, wait now. We'll get to this show in a few minutes since we're talking about 90s shows, but
All right.
the card says Moops. Y'all don't know that reference.
Okay.
I will give that to you because I know that you
right.
knew what you were talking about.
Sorry.
So that's actually 4 for 4. Now you're 2 for 4, so there's really no catching up here.
Yeah.
But we're gonna do this one anyway because these are the two best.
Whatever happened to
Yeah, it's, Full House.
And the Paperboy.
Yeah.
evening TV?
Would you have gotten
Good.
that?
I wouldn't have gotten that one.
Wow.
I wouldn't have got that one. I didn't watch Full
Yeah,
House.
see, that's the thing. People in my house watched Blossom. I didn't really. So I was aware of the theme song, but I was going upstairs. I was going in my room to play Super Mario.
All right.
When Blossom came on, I was like, that was my time. I was like, oh, Blossom's on. That's Super Mario time.
Last one here.
Off the bat, I got that one.
It's a
bad decision. It's late. Newspaper bake. Love and tradition. The grand design.
No idea.
It's even harder to find.
I know this one.
Well, there must be some magic clue inside this gentle wall.
Family Matters
Okay.
with Steve Urkel.
He showed me the video and I still couldn't tell what it was.
Matt's watching the entire intro video
Wow.
and he's like, "Who is this black family? Why, it's not the Cosby
It's
Show.
not the Cosby Show. Why would I care?
I don't know.
Anyway, all right.
Just one more. Here's the tiebreaker.
Give me a second.
What?
Give me a second.
No way.
This is really familiar, but I can't place it. I'm sure if I.
No idea.
Here, let me give you a couple of names. Luke Perry.
Oh,
90210.
There
Wow.
you go. Yes.
Well,
That was another Super Mario show for me.
Yeah, I never watched that either.
Mom-
All
Mom
right,
turned
so
that on
Matt
and off.
wins the 90s theme song challenge.
Oh well, good job.
Here, I'm going to give you this trophy
Okay.
right now that y'all can't see in podcast land.
Is that the B author?
It is not the B. Arthur. Yes.
Thank you.
That remains in my room.
Agent Mulder, something is out there, and it's your number 5 pick. Go for it.
My number 5 pick is Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. What do you like about Twin Peaks?
Well, Twin Peaks is very interesting because, for number one, it's very strange from episode 1. But then you have right after the kind of the main plot point is revealed, the writer, they actually have a change in the whole writing staff. You know, he leaves the show and everything, and then for about, I would say, the better part of the last season, it's just off the rails and it makes no sense. but then they bring him back to finally tie it back together for the last 4 episodes. When you just think about, from episode 1 to the final plot point reveal, Twin Peaks, for me, is just this. It was different. It was just the writing was kind of jarring to me. It was strange.
Have you ever watched it, man?
Confession here, there's going to be a lot of 90s shows you're going to be shocked I didn't watch. I just had other things to do. Like Mulder just said, there were tons of video games, hanging out with friends. TV was not.
You were too busy going to the movies to watch White Fang 2.
That's right, Dad.
Well, see, and that's what's interesting about this list is because the '90s is when I was a kid. So that's when I was watching more cartoons than anything.
Right.
So a lot of these, my top 5 TV shows are like some of the ones that I know I would sit down with the family and watch.
I never watched Twin Peaks when I was little or anything like that, but
Right.
I watched it like a year or 2 ago, and I never finished it. But you're right, like it's only 30 episodes, so you can actually watch it really quick. But those 30 episodes will give you like the biggest headache. I mean, David Lynch always does that. I don't really like David Lynch, but
Right.
Twin Peaks has this type of like magnetic, majestic, weird energy
Right.
about it. Like it's so bad and peculiar that it's brilliant.
You can't stop watching it.
Yeah, and
it's
it doesn't
so
make
weird.
any sense, but because he throws so much at you, you're kind of like, I gotta keep watching, and
Right.
wait, this is giving me a headache. I don't want to, you can't. That's a show that I never finished it because it's impossible for me to marathon. Like after one episode, like I'm done, and I really want to know.
Well,
And I have done really, really well at like not having anybody or read anything about who killed Laura Palmer, so I don't know.
That's the thing, though. They finish it up. They say, here's who killed Laura Palmer, and they tell you, but then the show keeps going, and you don't know why. That's the thing.
And Mulder, I'm going to say, in this whole discussion, you have changed my top 5 all of a sudden. You reminded me of another show. Thank you for that.
All right, you're
I like
welcome.
that.
You're
So
welcome.
speaking of,
So just in time, here's my new top 5.
Okay.
Just recently, hot off the press. Number
Okay.
5 is going to be Wings.
Oh, see that?
Yeah.
That's
Do you remember Wings?
and that's on my list.
It's on. Shut up.
But I can move it because I got like 20 of my favorite.
Oh no,
shows.
that's fine. Go ahead because it's a great show because it's the 2 brothers who own the airport.
I love
the
that
guy
show.
from Monk is on it. He's the taxi cab
Yes,
driver.
Tony Shalhoub.
Tony Shalhoub, and then the guy from the Sideways, the Spider-Man movie. He played
Thomas
Sandman.
Hayden Church.
Yes,
Yeah, Thomas Hayden Church,
and
yes.
he's the dumb mechanic,
Yeah.
slow mechanic, I should say.
One
And
time when I was in my underwear.
it's hilarious. That show hits on all pistons because it is so good. It is so good. The acting is great. The characters, each character is fully developed
Yes,
in this show.
absolutely.
And it's wonderful. It's a show. What? 2 people owning a airplane business.
Small
What were they
airport
doing?
in Nantucket.
Small airport in Nantucket. And why do we care? Because of the characters.
Hey, if the writing is good and the,
The
characters
writing is
are good,
that's
then-
absolutely right. These characters, it's just like you said, the reason that show works is not because they all work at an airport, it's because they have these fully developed characters
Yeah.
that work together and you get to watch and see everything unfold. It's a brilliant
Agreed.
show.
Totally
Love it.
agreed. All right, Mikey.
All right, Miss Chanandler Bong's number 5 is Saved by the Bell. Yeah.
What
So-
90s list could not be?
Right. Like, not
It would be
only is
complete.
it obviously, I love it for nostalgia reasons, but like that show has just like penetrated pop culture like no other. Like it's taken, like it was cheesy, like maybe in like the late 90s to not like it, but now since like we're kind of in this wonderful pop culture renaissance with Jimmy Fallon leading the charge, making all those uncool things cool again. It has just come back around, and I love it. Like I love it for everything that it was, and I watched it in the morning, Saturday mornings when it was
Of course.
originally on.
Of
But
course.
then like every day after school, they would show it, probably 4 episodes, like, 2 on like TBS back to back, and then 2 on like TNT or something like that back to back, or Fox or something, whatever. And we actually, this was, in the mid 90s, so this was before like we really had computers and all that type of stuff. Me and my friends in high school, we sat around and we filled out on paper every single episode of Saved by the Bell that we could think of, just with like our own names. And later on, like I still have this list at my house actually. Later on, like whenever we could compare it to the internet, I think we only missed like 2 episodes or 3 episodes.
How about that?
But what we would do
Wow.
is every day we bet on which episodes they would show. So we looked at that list. And we all were like, we didn't bet any money or anything. It was just like bragging rights. But it was like, all right, today they're going to show Buddy Bands and they're going to show Jesse Addicted to Drugs. And then, Rusty would be
Wow.
like, I think they're going to show There's No Hope with Dope. and the Christmas one where the homeless guy's in the bathroom. Just different things like that. And like next day, like we'd be like, I got 2 I'm right to actually show those episodes. So like it was that big of a deal to us.
That's fun. You made a game out of it.
We made a game out of it, So it was infamous back then, or it was famous back then, and now it's infamous.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I love that show.
Definitely a good pick.
And Kelly Kapowski was probably my second girlfriend behind the girl from Karate Kid.
Is she the lady of the 90s? Kelly Kapowski.
The lady of the 90s? I don't know. I think it has to
might
go.
I would argue that she is, unless someone can come up with a better one.
I'll think about that because there's a few, but she would
But
probably be one of them.
Mulder?
We kind of put the kibosh on Married with Children because it started in '87, but I would say Christina Applegate was a huge contender for the lady of the 90s.
Well, Married with Children was a 90s show.
She was. Yeah, it was a 90s show.
It
so
started
she
in '87
was.
though, didn't it?
Yeah, but the majority of it.
The majority of it
90s.
carried in the 90s, so it's
Yeah.
considered a 90s show.
I would consider 90s show.
Yeah,
I mean, I would put her in that argument.
But she's up there, but Kelly Kapowski I would put over Christina Applegate.
Brenda,
I would.
Brenda from 90210 would be in that.
She might. She might, but still, Kelly Kapowski
Kelly
just
Kapowski
seems
is
to
it.
be
Yeah.
it.
Right now, Kelly Kapowski is queen of the 90s.
There's no one as sweet, as innocent as her, as Barbara Eden, as Linda Carter, as B. Arthur. They all fit in the same category.
B. Arthur.
Anyway, all right.
Stanley.
Mulder, go for it. What's your number 4?
Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling, toss salad and scrambled eggs. Frasier.
Frasier. Okay.
Frasier.
One of the best spin-offs of all time.
Actually, it's probably the most successful spin-off of all time.
That show is so great. I love Frasier. I mean, even as a kid, it was so great because, I watched Frasier as a kid because I watched Cheers with my mom and dad. And in the 90s, I was a little older than when Cheers had come on. And so I knew some of the things that were going on in Frasier, but I didn't understand their dialogue because they used words that I didn't get yet. What was so great about Frasier is it kind of aged with me. And I went back and I watched it when I was about, 15, 16. And the show was just, I could really appreciate it even more. So to me, Frasier is my number 4. Love the show.
And Frasier is good because here they took a character who'd been on TV for, 8 years already? Mikey?
Yeah, from season 3 to 11.
Okay.
Yeah, he was
so he'd
there.
already been a character for 8
He had a
years.
huge run.
We know everything about him. They even delve into his character in
they do.
Cheers.
Yeah.
But then, no. What you think you know, you don't know
No,
the
'cause
half of it.
that's right.
They built an entire empire around this one character.
And they built it successfully. Like, it wasn't like, we're going to take things and non-canon it and switch things up. I mean,
No.
they kept every single thing
Right.
intact.
They built
and
every single thing up around it, but we cared about the side. That he's a side character, and we cared about his side characters.
Right.
And some people even argue that Frasier was better than Cheers. It's debatable, but I'll be honest, it's
my
a great
opinion,
show.
no,
No,
but
your
I mean,
opinion, no,
but-
and some people's
but some
opinion,
people,
no.
yeah, sure.
But some people love Frasier
Well,
even more, and it works.
And that show put David Hyde Pierce on the map.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was introduced to the audience, and I think, it didn't take long for people to just absolutely love that character.
Well, here's the interesting thing about like the dynamics in being a lead versus being a sidekick, because on Cheers, Frasier was always just a sidekick, and so he garnered a lot of interest and played that sidekick role. When you go over to Frasier, then he had to play the lead, and we talked about that last week about playing the straight man. And David Hyde Pierce got a lot of the attention because he was the goofy sidekick, which because Frasier in Cheers was is, in my opinion, a little bit more goofy than he was in Frasier, just because like that's the way it was written, and he got
they had to expand his character, and I think it was
he had
done
to be
perfectly.
the anchor.
So that's a very good pick there. My number 4 is Saved by the Bell as well. It's the one that I knew you would have on your list.
I thought you would have picked Northern Exposure.
I know. I have Saved by the Bell. I loved everything about it. I love Good Morning Miss Bliss,
great
which is
show.
kind of the precursor to it. I love the Summer Days.
Now that's interesting right there, because we were talking about like canon stuff, like because they completely changed. Like they took a risk with Saved by the Bell with Good Morning Miss Bliss on the Disney Channel, geared around the teacher and not the students. Completely moved the school, took the teacher out, changed some of the characters, but kept some of the main ones, and it was even more popular.
Yeah,
so that's
it worked. They retooled it. And I followed it all the way up. I even watched their college years.
I like the college years. One season, liked it because I liked the characters.
Well, I didn't want the characters to go away.
I didn't either.
Is for me. So that's why I kept watching the college years. Is it just as good? I don't know. I remember being okay with it. I enjoyed it.
I was fine with it too.
I know people didn't like it.
What's funny, and to listen to you guys talk about Saved by the Bell and how it was in your sort of circles at your age at the time. It's funny how it was in my age at the time, because we were like, people like about my age were in like elementary school, maybe going to junior high, and when or not really junior high, it's mostly elementary, but when you're a kid, you look up to teenagers. So Saved by the Bell came on, and you wanted to be like one of those when you grew up.
No,
well, yeah, because they graduated in '93, like on the show, and really those actors were that pretty much the same age as their characters. So I think that's why like it meant so much to people like us, is because we were that age. We're that age,
you
and
grew
we grew up with
them,
and that's
they
the
didn't
reason
stay
why.
in school.
Yeah, I liked the college years because I grew up with those characters, and I looked at them as friends. So like I wanted to see what they did in college.
I'm in college; they're in college now.
Exactly.
It makes sense. They grew up with you, and it was fantastic. I watched Saved by the Bell, the new class, but then stopped when Weasel was too much like Screech, and you could see they were trying to just recapture that magic, and then they bulldozed that class, redid it again, kept Mr. Belding, which was good because you want to keep someone that someone's familiar with, brought back in Screech, and I did return for a few of those episodes, but didn't watch them all. In fact, to this day, I've never seen Zach and Kelly get married. That's the only thing I haven't seen.
Well, that's an actual movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen the
they're okay.
Vegas
They're fine.
movie.
Yeah, there's the Hawaiian.
There's Hawaiian and the Vegas, and I haven't seen either one.
They're okay. I mean, if you
I'm sure they're good because they're the classic bunch again, and I one day will see them.
In honor.
But those were the only two of the original cast I didn't see.
I think C. Slater.
But anyway, new class is when I bowed out. I did tune back in when Screech was the assistant principal because I'd like seeing
Wait, that
Screech.
happened?
Yes,
Yeah, they did.
Oh,
he came back later on to the show, and I watched it for a little bit, but it was in passing here and
That's
there,
because
and
Dustin
we moved
Diamond
on.
didn't have anything else to do with his career.
No, he
Exactly.
didn't. Does he now?
No.
Number 4.
right,
Mike.
Number 4. All right. This is
What's
honestly,
your number 4, Preppy?
This is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. It is one of the best written, most clever, most incredible shows that you'll ever watch. And unfortunately, it only had 18 episodes, and it was done. Freaks and Geeks.
Yep. I knew it.
Freaks and Geeks
That's a great show.
is unlike any other TV show I've probably ever seen, just in its style, in its writing ability, in its way it captures all the different styles of youth in an honest way. Like the way that TV show is shot. I always felt like I was watching like a documentary of real kids in like 1980. Like it was funny but serious. It was goofy, but it was heartfelt. Like I never felt that I was watching characters act out something that somebody wrote. Mm-hmm. Like I just felt that all the actors really captured who these stereotypical teenagers were, and I love it. Like, and I hate that it was only. I love and I hate that it was only 18 episodes.
Yeah.
Like, I hate it because like it was just getting started, and that could have been one of the best shows of all time. But because it ended, it's kind of like people dying young. Like it was able to have like this kind of cult classic way about it, and I don't understand that because. There's really some horrible TV shows that will go on for 5 or 6 or 7 seasons, and that one didn't. And Judd Apatow, that was one of his first shows that he did. And then afterwards, like 2 years later, he did a show called Undeclared, which was the same way. It was only on one season. It had kind of the same feel to it, but it was about college. And it was about 20 episodes, and it got cut. And it was like the same thing. It wasn't as good as Freaks and Geeks because I love the late 70s and the early 80s, and that's all whenever Freaks and Geeks takes place. So. It's a very good show. And it launched the careers of like Jason Segel and
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen was
James
on
Franco.
there. James Franco.
Yeah. And the thing is, I have another honorable mention I'll talk about later, which got cut solely for that reason. It only went one season. It was cut short before it got greatness. Yeah. And that's definitely one of the shows that would fit that example there.
And it was funny how it took kind of a different, you have Saved by the Bell where the story's kind of in front of you, and then Freaks and Geeks kind of put you in the story. Like it broke that kind of that barrier you feel on TV where you're part of the studio audience or something.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and then Freaks and Geeks kind of broke that, brought you into it.
Mulder. What is number 3?
I got to give it to Sliders.
Gonna go with Sliders. Okay.
Well, you are a very science fiction guy, so that would fit probably in there.
That would fit nice. So what made Sliders work?
Okay, well, the thing about what made Sliders work was that, like you guys just said, I'm a major science fiction TV guy, and Sliders was so cool because, my dad and I used to talk about science fiction all the time. And me and my dad and my brother used to talk about the science fiction stuff, and Sliders was the premise that he built this device that would let him travel between parallel worlds and see different versions of history and the present as it, Like there was one episode where the South won the Confederate War. Just things like that. And it was just so interesting to see these different like twists on that, because people who like and there's a lot of, especially I'm sure just about anybody that listens to this podcast has that kind of what if brain. They're constantly asking, well, what if this never happened? What if this happened?
It had a unique premise, and it worked well in several ways, because it was almost like a time travel thing, an alternate universe type of thing.
Yep.
But it worked because it didn't only focus on the events at hand, the what if,
Yep.
but also had a storyline going with the characters themselves.
And then you had, John Rhys Davies was in that, and you
yeah.
had the O'Connells, and it was that he had his team of friends. And now later on, I think later on in the show, the cast kind of changed a little bit. It changed a couple times actually, but the show, I remember, stayed pretty consistent with the whole what if thing, because to me it kind of catered to whatever TV show you watch, how it ends. You think, oh, what if this had happened? And Sliders is just a constant what if.
Exactly.
I'll tell you my favorite what if. What if I actually went to Sonic and they didn't mess up my order? I mean, come on, right? Like, how many times do you go there and it's like you ask for no onions and they put onions on there, and the onions at Sonic really suck because they're the little chopped up ones that hide in the lettuce. Or what, you ask for tater tots and you get fries. Like, I would like to go onto Sliders and go into a parallel universe where Sonic, America's drive-in, gets my order right.
Damn.
Wendy's can't even get me a cup of coffee. I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway,
Anyway.
That is funny.
All right, so I'm going to stick with sci-fi, and number 3 is Quantum Leap.
Great show.
Quantum Leap is great. Same kind of premise. He hops in time, but he is the character.
Yeah.
And actually, he has to change history for the right.
See, I would give Quantum Leap my 3 over Sliders.
You know what?
But
If I was in Quantum Leap, Matt, I would leap into that cashier at Wendy's and I would fix you a cup of coffee. I would leap into that
I
body.
appreciate that.
I would make your world right
should.
and then leap out.
Would Sam and Ziggy be right there helping you out?
No, they'd be at Sonic. Trying to make the world right for those guys.
Anyway, I loved it. I read online
Quantum
that they
Leap was one of the greatest shows of all time.
Yeah, they wanted to make a movie. They're still not.
They're still not?
No,
okay,
they're still
because it's and the internet is just an outlet of misguided information.
but
They
should. They should.
Why not?
And the thing
Well, I
is,
think
they
they
weren't
shouldn't. Let
sure
it
they
go.
were getting
It's
canceled.
done.
That last episode, they didn't know they were getting canceled.
Right.
They just did a show that could be the ending just in case. Because he says, who was it? Sam Beckham. Who was the actor now? I can think of the character's name, but I can't think of the actor.
Well, I can't think of the actor.
He played Sam. Anyway,
Yeah.
Sam
come
says,
on.
Yeah.
he says,
Scott Bakula.
oh, Bakula, thank
Yeah,
you.
and Dean Stockwell.
Yeah,
There you
Scott Bakula says that they filmed the last episode thinking it could be the last episode, but let's set it up to where he may have to go again. So that's why they wrap things up real quick. And that last episode is unbelievable. The finale is unbelievable. But they were hoping for a movie. It never happened. Scott Bakula's busy now. He's working. So it doesn't look like it's ever going to happen, but it's a shame because that was a fantastic, very underrated sci-fi
If anybody has not
movie.
watched Quantum Leap, do yourself a favor. Go find it somewhere and watch it because it's just amazing.
It is worth your time. It's wonderful, and it gives you such perspective on things
It's
because
so
he
great.
is so good.
I'll
Scott
tell you,
Bakula is so
I'm going
good.
to tell you an
man.
interesting thing about Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap today. For people that haven't seen it, if you go and try to see it and either get the DVDs or find it online somewhere or whatever, you actually are going to be getting an inferior product than what was on TV because of the music rights. Because some of the they do this a lot with TV, which is the reason why a lot of TV shows don't get put on DVD because they have to turn around and pay for the music again.
Because contracts weren't written that way. They are now, which is why you don't have the issue.
Well, you can do things on TV, which is the reason why Muppet Babies has never been put on DVD because there's so much copyrighted material that they just don't want to spend the money for.
But it will now because a lot of that copyrighted material is from Lucasfilm. Muppets, everything is owned by Disney. The whole world is owned by Disney now.
Well, eventually they'll own everything.
Disney has the rights to everything.
They can do whatever they want.
Disney bought my house.
But I recently, I would say probably just 2 months ago, went back and was looking for good quality episodes, real original episodes of Quantum Leap. And there was a lot of TV. You're not going to miss the overall gist of the show, but some of the better parts of the show that use music, they change the music.
And we've talked about this before, and I think we've even toyed with the idea of having a whole podcast about the music in TV shows and how much of an impact it is.
Oh yes, it's a huge impact. I agree. TV theme songs,
Absolutely.
a great discussion would be there. Did you just say you bought your house through Disney?
No, I said Disney bought my house.
Okay. The House of Mouse?
Yeah.
They bought my house, and they're going to tear it down and build a Ferris wheel.
Well, if you ever need someone to appraise that house, call Fred Khalil. What's the deal? Call Fred Khalil.
And if you need someone to seal that deal, it's Fred Khalil.
Hey, if you ain't dead, call Fred. My number 3, I think, is the best show of all time. Well,
Okay.
the best sitcom of all time.
Okay, I think I know where you're going with this.
All right, now it's not number 1 because I'm going favorites, but
Okay.
the best sitcom ever is Seinfeld.
Okay. Yep.
And that is my number 3.
That's
on my
number
list.
3 for you.
Yes.
I'll go ahead. That was my number 1.
I'll be honest. I thought that was his number 2.
Well,
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
well,
Why is it number
Let's
3?
please talk about Seinfeld.
Well, whenever you'll see why it's number 3 whenever I do number 2 and number 1.
Okay.
In that order, I hope. What a feat.
Yes, sir. That is correct, sir.
That's when you stand up and you look at the number 2.
I can't
number
say
1 on it.
anything about Seinfeld that hasn't already been said. For me, it's the best show that's ever been on TV. Like
Absolutely.
I think like these characters. My whole life is nothing but just observational humor about just the stupid things that happen in life and the mundane in life. Because whenever you start to get a little bit older, like life is just kind of funny about life is just maintenance. Really, you just have to get up, do the same things every day, and you go to bed. So you have to find like the funny and the humor just within the little things in life.
Exactly.
And Seinfeld was the absolute best at doing that, and he just took his brand of humor and moved it over into a TV show, and it's one of the most unique TV shows on TV. That, I mean, coupled with Curb Your Enthusiasm, but it's the same concept and it's the same people. Where like it's a show about nothing, and I know that's the tagline, but they really thought it was going to tank, because there's no overall plot, there's no pushing characters
it's
anywhere.
not going anywhere.
It doesn't go anywhere.
It's just day to day.
But that's what made it brilliant is that every single person could relate to it, and it's timeless because of the way of the stuff that they talk about.
And it's the only show, I think, where the star of the show is the least interesting character.
He is. Like,
Well, I mean, here you
And
have,
that's not a slide
but
against
once
Jerry
again,
Seinfeld.
here you have the pivot point. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like, it has to all revolve around Seinfeld's world.
yeah, but that's just it. Like the way it's what it is the side characters have to be crazy for him to keep his brand of humor of like reacting
Yeah.
to what is going on to these crazy people around me.
Right.
What
Yeah.
is the deal?
He's the voice.
with that.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know?
if the Cosby Show is like relatable in terms of family situations, Seinfeld is relatable in terms of everyday adult situations.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I view
And it's
it.
just
you know?
done. It's
Yeah.
done wonderfully. But here's an interesting thing about Seinfeld: if Seinfeld was to try to become a TV show today, it would not make it.
No.
Because if you go back and watch the first season of Seinfeld, it's not very good. The second season starts to get a little bit better, and then especially towards the end, it picks up. But what they did was back in the day, they allowed these TV shows to mature and these people to find their characters. And nowadays, like you have to have your character right out of the gate, or
Right
you're
out.
just
You
canceled.
do. It's a lot. The bar is set
There's
a
no
lot
time to
higher than
develop.
TV.
But when
That's
you look
true.
at Seinfeld, you can clearly see the maturation. Like Kramer really doesn't become the Kramer that everybody knows and loves until like the middle of season 3.
He's right, yeah, you're right.
And George is always kind of always neurotic, but he really starts to find. I mean, they really all as a group start to meld in like
Exactly.
seasons 3 and 4, and just. The writing, once the characters got there, then they started making these absolutely brilliant storylines, so unique with how every little thing matched up, all the 3 or 4 storylines just intertwined with each other, and everything was a direct consequence of something else that they had done. And I don't know, like I love the way it ended. I know that the ending of Seinfeld was very controversial. A lot of people didn't like it, but like I thought it was fitting and perfect because these people are not good people. Like they're not. Like they're all very shallow, mean-spirited type of people. Very cynical, very jaded.
Very bad.
Yeah, and speaking of like side characters, like what other show, like we talked about that last week, but like what other show made their side characters just as popular? I mean, everybody knows, the Soup Nazi.
The Soup Nazi,
and
Newman.
The little
Classics.
midget guy, Mickey. Their parents, like Seinfeld's parents, George's parents.
Yeah, the Costanzas.
Like every character on this show was just so over the top, but it was over the top in that perfect little pocket of funny and not annoying. And I can watch Seinfeld every day of my life.
What other show has like T-shirts for the side characters? There's Soup Nazi T-shirts. There's new T-shirts.
Yeah.
I love it, and I think it's the best show, best sitcom of all time.
Okay. Awesome. Mulder, numero dos.
The X-Files.
I'm going to be honest. This is the one we hit the same on. My number 2 is the X-Files as well. Let's talk about X-Files.
Let's talk about the X-Files.
Let's talk about the X-Files.
I've never seen one episode, so I'm going to bow out.
What?
Moving on. We have the X-Files. And this is going to be an interesting conversation because we watched it at 2 different ages. I watched it in my room when it was dark, and it scared the piss out of me. But
I bet it did. It scared me a couple of times, too, and I was grown.
It was so creepy. And I love the X-Files. From the minute that theme song starts, that...
Oh, man, you got the chills, right? The goosebumps, and then hair stands up on your arm.
Exactly, and the weird montage in the beginning with the...
Goosebumps. I'm surprised Are You Afraid of the Dark wasn't on your list.
Well, I'm telling you, like, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Pete and Pete, Goosebumps, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, but let's talk about the X-Files.
Oh, man, it was fantastic. Mulder and Scully go together like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
One of my favorite...
Scully and them shoulder pads.
One of my favorite episodes they did was actually one of their comedic episodes where they tell the story from 2 different perspectives of what happened.
I remember what you're talking about. Okay.
And it is hilarious. But they had, you talk about side characters, the Lone Gunman got their own series, which, by the way, did you watch the Lone Gunman spinoff?
No.
Fantastic.
Really?
Fantastic series. Sad that it got canceled, but it was a spinoff of the X-Files. It was great. And they did finish up their story later on in the last season of X-Files. But even the characters that replaced them, I'll be honest, Agent Doggett took a few episodes getting used to it, but he grew on you.
Yeah, you got used to him.
And even though Mulder was my absolute favorite, him being gone from the show didn't take away from the show. However, Scully's replacement was horrible.
Yeah, no, I wasn't a fan either.
I feel there is a danger in the room.
Yeah, come on, let's stop that.
It was pathetic. It was awful. By then, I was having trouble watching the show. Thank goodness it was canceled soon after, or finally closed to an ending.
Right.
Which, by the way, still ticks me off today because the first movie was good because it happened during the show.
Right.
The second movie was crap.
I did not
only
like
because
the second movie.
it was just a regular episode. It was a regular X-Files episode, and that's what pissed me off.
Yeah.
No, nothing that had been discussed in the final episodes were even mentioned in that movie. It's like we got brainwashed. We're just doing a regular episode where we go out there and investigate something. Lame. Chris Carter is out of ideas. He's still pretending he's got ideas. This mini-series coming up of X-Files.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. They're kind of rebooting
6-episode run?
Yeah, it's a reboot.
But the thing
Kind
is,
of.
Is it a reboot?
The original character's coming back.
Are they keeping with the original story?
As far as I know, I don't know.
I think they are, but the thing is, though, if they don't answer some daggum questions, I am done with X-Files. You're talking about someone who, this is truly my number 2. I have been this close. I'm showing a millimeter with my thumb and index finger here, but I have been this close to buying those all on DVD because I do love that series.
Yes.
But you know what? You didn't end it. You had the chance with that second movie. You had the chance. You blew it. In fact, that second movie, a lot was riding when that movie came out. What is The Truth Is Out There?
Yeah. Yes.
I think that's what it was called. Anyway, but that second movie had everything riding on it because if that would have buttoned up the entire storyline, I'd have gone back and bought everything with X-Files.
Number 2 didn't answer anything. And I'm going to tell you something. If Chris Carter is listening to this, The Truth Is Out There. We want it in the 6-episode miniseries reboot. We want the truth.
Yeah,
Finish it.
It's our number 2. Don't number 2 on this series.
Thank you.
So, all right, that's all we had to say. Number 2 for Mikey.
What? Huh? I'm sorry. Let me wake up now. My number 2, and this is the reason why Seinfeld is number 3.
Who does number 2 work for?
Buffy.
Okay.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Amazeballs! Gosh, I love this show. Like, have I ever told you guys how much I love this show? Yes, I have, because we've talked about it a lot. Matt really was one of the ones that turned me on to this show. There was a couple of friends in the past that used to watch it, and I never would watch it. Like, I picked on this show, and I picked on people that liked it for a long time. And
I did too.
And then I watched it, and then I got it. The writing in this show, the world that Josh Whedon creates, is second to none. Like, it is airtight. Everything expands and adds on each other. They use the same characters. It's inside jokes. It's all types of stuff. It's the best world that's out there. And if anybody, I'm sure that anybody that's listening to this podcast has probably seen every episode multiple times. But if anybody hasn't ever watched Buffy, or if you have people out there that don't want to watch Buffy because they think it looks silly because it's got silly looking karate and there's people in costumes, no, watch it. Like, it has the best story and it's very deep. And I'm actually rewatching it again right now. Like, we're watching. We're in season 3, which is my favorite season. So we went through season 2, season 3, and rewatching it the second time is even better than watching it the first time because you just see things you didn't see before. You start catching all the inside jokes that you didn't catch before. And dadgummit, Sarah Michelle Gellar is an incredible actress. Like, I cannot see anybody else being Buffy. Like, I hate that she'll always be Buffy for her sake because she probably wants to do other things with her life. But with that being said, like, she
just kind of fits casting that one role.
No, she is so amazing. Like, the depth that she brings to this character is unparalleled. Like, the sadness, the internal struggle. Like, you just always see it all over her face. And, it's just fun. Like, it's just... And now, it's not a perfect show, mind you, because there are... the first of it, to me, is better than the end of it. There's some misses out there. But even in the misses, it's still... just... Like, it makes the hair on my arm stand up just watching it and thinking about it. Because you'll have these episodes that are so... I don't know, just... amazing and fun-filled and funny, and then they'll just hit you with something, and Josh Whedon will just turn it on a dime, and you'll just be sitting there like, what? Huh? No. Something you didn't see coming that just tears your heart out, and you care so much about the characters.
Definitely a good show. Definitely a good show. We are getting to our number 1, and number 1 for Agent Mulder is...
Well, it was Seinfeld, but I have another one to replace it with.
Oh, okay.
Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Wow. Okay. I love that show.
Yeah.
Why is it your number 1?
Okay. Mystery Science Theater 3000 captured something that everyone hates and made it something everyone loves. Hecklers at the movie theaters. You can't stand it when people are talking, but then you watch these cheesy horror movies, but then you have these 3 witty characters and 2 voice actors, and one you had Joel and then you had Mike later on, but you had these weird characters on a spaceship, and like the premise is so goofy. It was a cross between Saturday morning cartoons and kind of an evening show for an hour or or two. But it was such a goofy show. Their commentary, their riffing on the movies were just hilarious. The timing for everything they did was just great, and I respect them so much.
This was 3 guys sitting around having the time of their life, doing something they would do at home. That was started off on a Canadian channel.
Yes.
It put Comedy Central on the map because of that reason, because it was funny, it worked, everyone loved the show. People weren't tuning in. Comedy Central was still trying to figure out who they were. Remember, they used to show little clips. At the time,
it was just stand-up
of comedy
shows,
from movies and then show stand-ups. But now they had an actual show that people loved, and the characters are great. The in-between commercial breaks, when they were just in the spaceship goofing off or talking about things, is hilarious.
And it's just, the idea that he's sentenced to just, like, they're punishing him by making him watch these terrible movies.
It's fantastic.
What I like about that show is they took an idea, like you said, but that we all do. Like, I mean, it made, like, bad movies funny, but, like, what they did was put on TV something that all of us do.
Exactly.
Like, we all sit around and rag on, like, movies, like, look at that door. Like, what is it? Like, making, like, dubbing your voice over and stuff.
Right.
So they just made it money off of it.
Gypsy, Crow, Tom Servo,
Crow.
They all fanned it. Cambot, who was mentioned here and there.
Robot roll call.
That's exactly right. And then you got Dr. Forrester and TV's Frank. And I know they switched out those characters later on, which I still watch it because it didn't matter. Now, I'll be honest, when Mike took over, I got my feelings hurt.
You did.
And I did not watch it because Joel, to me, was the ultimate. But Joel wanted to move out from in front of the camera to behind the camera.
Anymore, right.
And Mike was just as popular doing it, so he wanted Mike in there. So he had Joel's blessing. In fact, Joel came back for one episode. Do you remember what the episode was?
It was he was floating out there. Are you coming to do repair on it or something?
Soul Takers. I remember that entire episode because TV's Frank came back too as a soul taker. He said, "Hey Joel, can came to take your soul. Do you mind coming back down from that space station so I can do that? And Joel's like,
Yeah.
nah. And it's so funny. Joel is so good to me. I don't watch any riff tracks. Have you seen any?
Yes, they put them on Fathom Events.
So they're still worth your time.
Absolutely. Oh, they still put them out like on. You can go to the website rifftracks.com, plug for Riff Tracks, and they riff like The Hobbit, they riff Lord of the Rings, and Fantastic Four movies that you can watch. But they also do like holiday specials, like they'll do Santa versus the Martian Men, or I forget what the name of it is.
Let me ask you this: what was your favorite movie that they reviewed on the show?
The favorite movie that it was
Predator 2.
Absolutely right.
I've been sitting on that one. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What was your favorite movie? Seriously, what was it?
Future War.
Future War. That was a good one. That was actually a really good one. Mine would be Man-X.
Okay.
Because they got sued by the actor after that episode
Really?
aired. Yes.
Oh my! I didn't know that.
And then after that, The Killer Shrews, which was hilarious. Nothing ever happened in that movie, and they made the board game The Killer Shrew,
Yep.
where you just had to roll the die, move, do nothing, and take a drink, because that's all they did was sit and drink in a room. Fantastic.
Spider Island.
Oh,
Really like
yes.
Spider
Yes.
Island. There's so much EGA. I loved EGA.
There's so many good ones, but yeah, that is a good number one.
So I think I have to go with that. Love the show. And like Seinfeld was my number one, but easy to just jump up.
That's a good one.
Number one.
My number one, I knew that I wouldn't. I knew I'd have X-Files with you. I knew I'd have Saved by the Bell with you, and I knew none of you were going to put this in any of your top 5. But it's my number one.
What is that?
The Highlander.
Yes, I am immortal. I have inside me blood of kings.
I think I've heard that song before. Anyway,
Here we are.
oh
my God.
It's a fantastic TV show.
Wonderful show.
Just like every series, the first series started off a little slow, first season, and then it picked up in the second season and took off.
Love
the sixth
that
season
show.
was a little short, but I'm fine with that because Adrian Paul was hurt, and it had kind of jumped the shark by then. It was kind of getting old, and they ended it just in time. If they'd ended at season 5, I'd have been happy too.
Yeah.
But season 6, they had to continue from the cliffhanger from 5, and like I said, because he was hurt, it kind of went downhill from there. They couldn't do much. Now, I even recently saw the spinoff, Highlander the Raven.
Did you? I haven't seen that. What was
And the movies. But I'll be honest, the TV show to me
It's still the
was
best.
Was the best. Was the
now,
original
you get
run.
to meet him at a convention, Adrian Paul?
I did get to meet Adrian Paul at a convention, and that was like, I was so excited. I couldn't stop smiling like a doofus. I was so happy to see. And by the way, folks, he is immortal. He hasn't aged a day since that show. He looks so nice.
So he still got the sword.
If he'd have had the long hair, oh man. He has hair like John Stepp. It's just majestic. Like a trained thoroughbred's mane.
Yeah.
It is just beautiful.
Yeah. Like an Herbal Essences commercial.
All right, number one.
There's no question as to what my number
I know what. I think
is.
I know what Mikey's number one.
Everybody that knows me knows what my number one is because I constantly talk about it, because I constantly watch it, and because Matt hates it, and because his wife's favorite show is this too. So, I mean, it is the '90s. It like defined the '90s. Friends. And no one told you life was gonna be this way. Yeah, God, where's the missus? I wish she was in here. I love that show. Love it. I mean, it's like I said, it's not the best show, but it's my favorite show. It makes me the happiest. I think that all 10 seasons were strong. All the storylines that they came up with, while not, some were better than others, like none of them, like I can't say that so-and-so season was a misstep or so-and-so season was a bad season. Like, I have a favorite season, but through for 10 strong years, it was a great show.
All right, first off, favorite season and why?
My favorite season is season 5, and that's for multiple reasons. It's like the culmination of a lot of different things, but really it's the Monica and Chandler relationship, and I love how the whole first half of that season is them trying to keep it a secret, and Joey finds out, and you really start to evolve Joey's character there, and then of course Rachel finds out, and then just I like them keeping those secrets, and I just think at that point, like, they had finally hit their stride with all their characters and all these storylines come together. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
My favorite has to be 1, I think, because isn't that what that had all my favorite jokes to? Hey, I'm Chandler. Could I be wearing any more clothes?
That's in season 3.
Is it 3?
That's in
okay,
season 3.
Whatever that season that is, that's the one I like.
Yeah.
All right, now they had a spinoff too.
Yes.
Joey
Right.
for 1 season.
2 seasons.
2
Wait,
seasons
you got
was
2?
Joey. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it got
I thought
2
I had,
seasons.
I thought I had 1. All right. Anyway, I don't know this show, but
Yeah.
All right. How was Joey?
I've never watched a single episode.
I watched 1.
I just
I didn't
Now
finish it.
the
I just can't do
missus watched Joey.
Did she?
She watched Joey,
She did.
and she says it's not as bad. But what hurt it was people were not ready to give it a chance because Friends, you have to have all of them or none.
Yeah.
Just having 1 wasn't good enough. But she said that show is pretty good, and if people would have given it a shot, it would have hit its stride and got better.
So I see the comparison here between, like, let's say, like, Cheers and Frasier. Like,
Frasier,
Frasier
right.
going on.
Yeah.
But Joey's a little different character, like, than like, I think that even though all of the characters in Friends were strong, I think they were strong as a unit. Like, I think if you would have taken any single one of them, then I don't know if a show would have survived.
Same thing can be said for Cheers, because I said that when they got Frasier. I was confused when Frasier got a spinoff. I said, why him out of all the characters?
Well, I don't
but
think
it worked.
Norm could have worked. I don't think Cliff could have
So
worked.
you don't think any spinoff from Friends would have worked? No one character.
Personally, I don't, and that's not.
Okay,
I just
that's fine.
think,
No, that's fine.
I think
Well,
the genius of Friends is the friendship between
That's the
them
thing.
and the writing in between. You know, and
Because
what
I
they
would
did.
agree with Seinfeld, it wouldn't have a successful spinoff either.
Right.
Because it's built upon a group of cast
Right,
members.
and
So I agree with that.
Yeah, because the writing of that show, the characters depend on every other character they interact with, and I think, like, you know, if you take Joey outside of that group, it's just all, you know, what do you have left? I mean, it's like you only know him as a part of that unit.
So yeah, but Friends, like I watch it. I still watch it religiously all the time. Like if there's like, you know, if I don't want to spend any specific time at nighttime like getting into a show or a movie or anything like that, and I just have like an hour before I go to bed, I'll pick a random episode from a random season and turn it on. Any episode from any season, I'll watch and I'll like. I think it just hit on all cylinders.
Okay, so honorable mention round. There's a lot of honorable mentions here. The one I'm going to mention that I mentioned earlier is The Flash.
Okay.
It was a short-lived 90s TV show.
CBS one, huh?
With John Wesley Shipp, who did a great job. The Flash looked great. The idea was great. Unfortunately, the writers and producers of the show did not want to do a supervillain of the week, and that's what hurt it. Only at the end, when they brought in the supervillain, the Trickster, played by Mark Hamill, doing a pre-Joker voice. But it's him basically doing a rendition of the Joker as the Trickster. Best episodes in the whole series, and I think they found that out way too late. If they'd have done more super villains against the Flash, because the Flash is kind of going off against this and that and regular people, and it kind of takes away from the excitement. I'll be honest, some of the most of the villains in that show were bland, unless it was the Trickster, some kind of costume hero, because then it becomes exciting. Mr. Freeze was sort of an assassin, which was okay, kind of a Smallville-ish feel to him. My other honorable mention that I'm kind of sad no one else put on there, but that's okay. I knew it wouldn't be on anyone else's top 5. The Drew Carey Show.
I was thinking about that one too.
It's amazing. It's unbelievable.
Down to Cleveland.
It's so great. Cleveland rocks.
Yeah. Raymond Reigns
So
2005.
Drew Carey Show to me was brilliant. I loved everything about that show. It just wasn't good enough to make my top 5. Folks, any other honorable mentions?
like
I got a few.
my honorable mentions really are a lot of the theme songs that I played earlier, and the reason I did those theme songs is because I knew they wouldn't be on our list because like these shows are very synonymous with the 90s. Like they're icons of the 90s. But they just don't hold up. They're just like they're not anything I could ever really watch now. Like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like it's kind of funny, but like I don't want to like marathon that. I don't care to watch all the seasons of that. Like maybe if it's on TV, like whatever, because I like Will Smith and whatever. But you know, Full House does not hold up at all. Like I just really can't stand that show now. And Family Matters, Home Improvement is pretty funny. Like I that to me like is a pretty quality show. But like Married with Children's kind of funny. Roseanne, like 90210, like these type of shows, like I don't know. They just don't hold up to me, and they're like when you think of the '90s, like you're gonna think of those.
Good, but not good enough.
Yeah, they're just.
I agree.
They're not anything that's just kind of like.
All right, Mulder.
One of my honorable mentions is Spin City. Did you guys ever watch that one?
Oh wow,
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
Later on replaced by Charlie Sheen. You have Michael J. Fox as the deputy mayor, and it was a great show. Love Spin City. You have the charm coming from Michael J. Fox, who's one of my favorite actors.
I love Michael J.
It doesn't. I mean, to me, as far as character on screen, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
Another one for me is Hercules and Xena. Used to love to watch that on Saturday. That was another one of my favorites. Hercules and Xena. Pete and Pete, Are You Afraid of the Dark? I just mentioned those. I could go on for Third Rock from the Sun was another big one that I like to watch.
Yeah, here's what I liked about Spin City. I had to look this up because I thought it was right, but Spin City was actually created by Bill Lawrence, which is the guy that did Scrubs. And we'll get to Scrubs probably next week.
Yeah.
But like Bill Lawrence, I like his type of humor. And really, if you watch Spin City, because I didn't watch Spin City in the 90s, but I watched Spin City after I watched Scrubs because I like Scrubs so much that I was like, hey, let me check this out. And it is. And it's the same thing with that show that's on now, Cougar Town.
Yeah.
They all have that same type of Scrubs feel because they were all created and kind of written by the same guy. And while not as like a, home run to me as Scrubs, it's still a funny show. Spin City was a funny show.
Got some more if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
Coach, Babylon 5.
Coach.
Coach is actually coming back. I don't know for how long, but it is.
Yeah.
Coach is coming back. Coach, Babylon 5, Farscape.
Out of those, honestly, Babylon 5 is a brilliant show. It hurts from lack of good CGI because it was 90s CGI.
Yeah.
But that story was fantastic. I loved Babylon 5.
And while I didn't enjoy every episode, Martin, there was a couple episodes that
Is that like I say
me.
Baywatch?
No, it's Baywatch. No, it just doesn't get any better than some of those 90s TV shows to me. Mad About You, I wasn't a big fan, but I know it was.
I liked Mad About You.
Did you like Mad About You?
I like Mad About You because Mad About You followed in that same footsteps of, it was Thursday night NBC, so they all kind of had that same theme where it went from Cheers to Cosby Show.
News Radio was on that block as well.
Mad About You started like in the late 80s and then went to the 90s, and it was really kind of this precursor to Seinfeld.
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Come back next week for some more Saturday morning Samoflange.